So you're going to need a few things in order to glaze. You're going to need water, of course, in order to clean away any drips and spills of glaze where you may not want it, like the bottom of the pot. You're going to want, of course, a pen and paper to track everything down that you've done, and a variety of brushes. I remember me showing up at the studio the very first time I was going to glaze anything with my own glazes, and I showed it with 2 brushes, and I had to borrow brushes from somebody because, you know what, there was no way. You need to have quite a few brushes. I prefer a natural bristle, something that's fluffy, because it's going to apply enough product so that you get an adequate glaze application. Here you're going to see I like to also water down my wax resist, or the wax, because I just find I get a better application. You have to be careful because of the fact that you have made it even a little bit more fluid. You've got to be a little bit more cautious with how you're putting it on so that the wax does not go where you don't want it, because you would actually then have to refire to your bisque fire in order to clear away that residual wax. So you do want to be mindful of how you're actually using it. I prefer working with a really small brush. This is actually just a small tapered brush, and I find I just get a really strong or clean application on the foot. So I like working with a small brush when actually applying my wax. So today I'm going to try using a manganese wash. I've had this actually for a while now, and I've wanted to use it, and I think this is going to be the perfect application. So I have a really small brush because I want to actually highlight all these little holes that are in the luminary. I'm hoping that I'm going to see little trails of the manganese wash kind of drift down into the glaze and create some really interesting effects. So I'm using a small brush, and I'm literally painting each and every hole all the way around, and as well as the rim, and I'm just trying to create some interesting kind of lines and effects on the pot, because from my understanding this is going to create some nice movement and some interesting color. So each pot I'm kind of hitting it up in a slightly different way in order to create that kind of movement, and then with the glaze on top it's going to create some really fun effects. Since this was my first time using the manganese wash, I decided to be conservative, and I used only 1 coat of it, just because I didn't know how much it was going to move or create flowing effects within the glazes. So I thought I would just err on the side of caution. I finally got my hands on some honey flux. I've wanted this for a little while, and I was really excited when it finally arrived. It's a thicker glaze. It's not quite as thick as like oatmeal, but it is in that kind of thick realm. And I just wanted to make sure I stirred it all up really well, because that's very important. You want to make sure you mix all of your ingredients in your glazes, even in between coats, just in order to get all of them so that you get a proper glaze application. Because of the manganese wash that I applied as a base, I decided I was going to just pour out a little bit of the actual honey flux just to not contaminate it. So that's what I've done. I just threw it in a smaller little old, what is that stuff called? Cream cheese container with a lid. I save all those containers all the time in order to help me when I'm glazing or doing any of I paint and stuff like that as well on the side. So I save these little containers. They do help. You could hear me blowing air into the little holes. So what I was trying to do is just actually blow the glaze out of the hole so that it doesn't, fill in. I gave up on that, and actually, I don't know what happened to the footage. I did painstakingly go through each hole that had glaze in it once it had dried and remove the glaze from the hole. So I just sort of, I have like a drill bit that I put in each and every hole, and just to clean them out. When the glaze melted in the kiln, some of the holes are filled in. That can happen, but I'm okay with it. I still think it looks pretty awesome. be sure to load your brush. I say this every time, but it really is a good practice to have a brush that is fully saturated in order for you to actually layer or apply enough glaze. I know a lot of you are new to pottery, and I can tell from your frustration from some of the messages you leave me, and this is a really good tip, is to make sure that you actually apply enough glaze so that you'll get the movement and the desired finish. Here I am using sort of a stippling motion in order to get a bit of the glaze inside each of the holes without actually trying to completely fill in the hole. So you can see that the glaze is in various states of, movement. There's drips in there, there's pooling, and that is exactly what I want. I want different thicknesses of the glaze in order to create some interesting, unique movement. I can't stress it enough. You got to write everything down every step of the way. I also recommend, cleaning up your brushes. Get as much of the glaze out of it, and wiping your lids still makes it a little easier for you to open it up later on. So here I've got my pot, and I've got the honey flux on the bottom ×2. I've got the manganese wash, as you know, in the holes, and then I've added the smoked sienna. I did it thicker at the rim, and so there's 2 coats, thicker at the rim and slightly thinner throughout the middle. And now what I'm going to do is add yet another glaze, and it's just going to add another element of movement. This is Twilight. It's a spectrum glaze, and it's a nice deep rich brown because, like I said before, I'm going for a really nice earthy vibe. I'm going to apply this in big old blops. That's all I'm going to do, is just splatter it down and create different thicknesses and random movement. I'm just going to do some random globs. We'll see what happens. Brush. Just random. Let's just blot it down. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it won't be a tragic mess, but you never know unless you try. See how that ends up looking. I'm going to start cleaning these bottoms here. Get all that glaze off. This was wax, so it'll come off nice and easy. Because you don't want that. That'll fuse to your kiln shelf if you don't clear it up. And it's a nice time to go in there, make sure you get a nice, smooth, clean edge. I went above my wax line, but that's okay. Just make it even so that you don't end up, it doesn't look like it was an accident. You know what I mean? Just really kind of make that tight. So here I am loading up the luminaries in the kiln. I put a cookie down just because I'm not really sure how much movement I'm going to get out of these glazes, and I'd rather not have the pot fused to my kiln shelf. I am going to use a junior cone. I have a manual kiln, so you need one of these little cones in the kiln sitter in order to actually shut off my kiln. Okay, this went a little warmer. So that shelf got a little warmer. So look at cone 5, cone 6, and it even got, it's like a 6.5, almost a 7. So that got pretty hot on the second shelf. Lots of experiments in here. Oh, that's stuck. Oh, that's kind of cute. Coming into my basement and spending time with me. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you try these glaze combos, because I think you'll get some equally impressive results. I love sharing my pottery results. It's a great chronicle for myself, helps me to remember what I did. I'm going to try this combo on some other clay bodies and see what I get. Of course, I'm going to bring you along for the ride, because that's what I do. If you have any questions or comments, hey, comment below. Let me know. I do answer each and every question that comes my way. If you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel right here. Boop. Hit that little button, give it a little love tap. And if you are not following me on Instagram, be sure to do so as well. And until next time, take care. Bye for now.